Ashton. Clandonald Society of the Highlands and Islands has decided that our annual trip this year to somewhere interesting is going to be a bit longer in 2017. So we're going to go to Islay. Islay is known as the cradle of Clandonald because that's where all the great decisions were made and the clan council held. But more of that when we get to Finlagan. For the moment, I just want to give you the skinny on the trip, which we're calling the Berserker, after the warrior types. The plan is to congregate at Kinnacraig on Monday the 18th of September. That'll be 2017 for those of you watching on catch up. And we'll take the 15:30 ferry to Port Ellen. We're going to be on the island until the 21st, and we'll get the 15:30 back from Portaskig to Kinnacraig. And if you want to make other transport arrangements, that's fine, it's up to you. We have agreed a very good price for accommodation at Bamore House in the village in Bamore. It's a medium-sized hotel. You'll need to book directly, but please do mention Clandonald and this event when you talk to them to get the best price. There's fuller information on the transport and accommodation on the Society's website, www.clandonald.org, or you can look at either the Society's Facebook group on Facebook or the Clandonald Worldwide Facebook group. For you, Jane Ishin, what are we going to be doing? Let's see. Why not try with a trip across the island? Two boats operate from here, the Isle of Arran and the Finlagan. And with 9 distilleries in Islay, there's nearly always whisky on board. But you can't get onto the vehicle deck during sailings. The Museum of Islay Life is in Port Charlotte, pretty much opposite Bowmore on the shores of Loch Doll. A converted church, it holds many artefacts telling of the social and cultural history of the island. Some of the tools and accoutrements are fascinating, like this horse slipper, which was intended to stop horses making hoof marks on garden lawns. A wee bit further down the loch from Port Charlotte is Nerples. Though still in use as a cemetery, the old chapel isn't much more than a hump in the field, alongside some preserved slabbed graves, again of the West Highland type. Across the island on the southeast side is Dunyvig Castle, right on the entrance to Lagavulin Bay. This is one of the most substantial of the Clandonald castles, and was used as a naval base for the clan. The castle overlooks the sea strait between Islay and the mainland, and it was used as a collecting point for levies on sailors who were using the navigable, sheltered inner waters up past Jura and on towards Oban and Lochlinny. Now, here's something you don't see every day: a round church. It's a fascinating building, unique and very engaging. But it's very difficult to find out why it has this unusual shape. Some say it's an attempt to provide no corners for the devil to hide in. However, there's clear references to Italian churches in its positioning and style. It was built by Daniel Campbell, 2nd of Islay, and it sits at the top of the main street in Beaumore, which is a planned village which was started by his father, the first Daniel, 1st of Islay. The roof is supported by this central pillar, which is wooden, perhaps hemlock oak, and that's further harrowed and plastered. The gallery was an 1830 addition. The church is of the typically unfussy style common to all Church of Scotland buildings, not austere, but concentrated on the purpose. This huge double sarcophagus was intended for Sir Walter Frederick Campbell and his wife, Lady Eleanor. Port Ellen is named after the Lady Eleanor, and she lies in the sarcophagus. However, her husband, who died in Normandy in 1855, isn't with her. Of further interest to Clandonald folks is this memorial to the Reverend Donald Curry Caskey, a Beaumore man. Reverend Caskey was Minister of the Scots Kirk in Paris in 1940, at the time of the German invasion. Caskey remained in Paris and gained great fame as the Tartan Pimpernel, firstly helping stranded British civilians and then British and Allied service personnel to steal back to Britain. The medal you see is the MBE he got for his service. Finlaggan. It's known as the Cradle of Clandonald. It was this hollow in the earth and on the islands in the loch that the Clandonald Lordship of the Isles was based, and functioned up and down large tracts of the west coast of Scotland. The Finlaggan site consists of three main elements: the interpretive centre on a croch on the side of the loch, Eilean Moor, to Great Island, where there was a stronghold on community, and Eilean na Comhairle, the Council Island, where all the great matters of the lordship were discussed and decisions made before they were sent back out to the lands of the lordship to the chieftains, the braves, and the tacksmen who administered them. In the chapel, which is dedicated to St Findlugan, are grave markers for the West Highland slab type. These are for the wives and children of the lords, but the lords themselves are buried on Iona, a religious community which they supported and nurtured. Eilean na Comhairle is but a few yards from Eilean Moor and would have been accessed by a sunken causeway. In fact, it's a crannog, a mostly artificially created island, probably an accumulation of various buildings which have crumbled over many ages. At some point it had a castle on it, with one or two smaller buildings. The loch and the islands are visible from the visitor centre, which sits just behind Crochshaunta, itself thought to have further interesting archaeological finds yet to give up. This wonderful desk at the main entrance is styled upon a Highland galley, a nervik or a birlin, and these were famed as the tool of power projection which so helped the Islesmen to exert such authority up and down the western seaboard of Scotland. The visitor centre is a beautifully constructed extension to an existing cottage, where there's plenty of displays and history to be found. We're down in the southeast of the island again at Kildalton Church, or Keeladalton, cell of the adopted one. It's a ruin, likely dedicated to St John the Evangelist, tucked away near Ardbeg, not far from Lagavulin. In the churchyard is an 800-year-old cross, which is thought to be Europe's oldest complete stone cross, still standing in its original position. Some consider it to be one of the finest of its type, and is closely related to St Martin's and St Oran's on Iona. Some of the cross's decoration is very similar to a plate in the Book of Kells, which is thought to have been at least partly written on Iona. The church is roofless now, but when it was in use it was likely thatched. It's a fairly big building for its time, having been built around the turn of the 13th century. Talking of things spiritual, let's have a look at one or two of the distilleries. Islay's famous for its fine wine, and there's a 10th being built now. It's difficult, if not impossible, to say which is the most popular, but surely Bruichladdich, or the Laddie as it's called, is one of the most hip. Bruichladdich sits almost opposite Beaumore and very close to Port Charlotte on the west side of Lochentol. Cuilila is on the northeast of the island, not far from Port Askig, and from here there's some brilliant views of the Paps of Jura just across the Narrows. And with a bit of camera trickery, you can make the very far away Mull look really quite close. Lagavulin is one of the southeastern distilleries, situated on the shore of Lagavulin Bay where Dunnavig Castle stands. And then there is Bunnahabhain, which is my favourite of the Islay. So I took a bit of time to look around the grounds and get a sense of the place.